they couldn't have played better. And I think for most of us who were watching them, you had hopes and expectations to see them continue to progress from the World Cup. But what we saw from them against Mexico was an absolute masterclass. They dominated a weak Mexico side where the coach had to be sacked after such a disappointing performance, I think, from the Mexico's supporters' point of view. But in terms of the passing patterns and movement in the attacking third, incredible. And we had all had high expectations of Balogun. And that game against Mexico was a little bit tough. He was still trying to figure out things. It was a difficult game. Gio Reyna had an opportunity to play him a pass in behind. He didn't. In the second game, he does, and you see the result.
Can I say something about the opposition? Because I think Mexico and Canada were generally weak. And the U.S., there's been times where they've played weaker opposition in CONCACAF and they haven't delivered, and they came out and absolutely dominated. They went full force, and it showed the difference level between the U.S. and the rest of the pack. And from that Nations League in Denver to this Nations League, and there's been trophies in between, it feels like order has been restored for the U.S. in the region. And I think it was very important to flex their muscles when you faced weaker opposition. Canada was indeed better than Mexico, but I don't think that they were as sharp as they would have liked.
And do you think that that's only going to get better now Greg is back in charge? Alexis, do you think that the US is going to keep trending in the right direction?
I mean, we got to give props to BJ. He did an absolutely incredible job. And one thing that people were frustrated with, Greg Berhalter, is that just put out your best 11. Stop with the tinkering, especially up front. I mean, obviously, he didn't have the luxury of having Balogun in there. But yeah, I think it seemed like it settled the squad. But I do want to make a point of Christian Pulisic said, and later on we see it in the team huddle before the game, hey, and I believe this was before the Mexico match, we're not the underdogs here anymore. They are. And I think they've absolutely proved it. And give the U.S. credit. They looked dominant without two of their best starters. Serginho Dest looked like he was one of the best players on the pitch during the Mexico game. And without him and Weston McKennie.
Throw in no Tyler Adams.
And no Tyler Adams on top of that. That's right. Three of their best starters. They looked absolutely incredible against the team that a lot of people were saying, well, they finished top of the qualifying, so they're the top dogs in CONCACAF. U.S. came out and
but I suppose the problem with the US is that they've always been inconsistent. We've seen these heights before, even last time at the Nations League when they did the same thing against Mexico when they got the win against them. So how much has this changed your perspective of the team, Chuck, that this consistency will start to be a bit more?
Yeah, I would say not even in this fashion, the way they dominated both Mexico and Canada. And Canada's back line, I think, I was never that high on, but they did their job in World Cup qualifying. But to see Steven Vittoria not play this game, that was puzzling. To see Scott Kennedy
not start.
Yeah, not start to come in and Scott Kennedy be the starter. I think what really showed to me was the depth of the U.S. men's national team. Players could fill in. There was no drop-off. And then Gio Reyna playing the 10 underneath the attacking trio. I think that was phenomenal. We would have never known, I think, had Tyler Adams played. Also, Yunus Musa playing in a deeper role, showing that he can play that role as a defensive midfielder. There's more questions, there's more depth, and I think moving forward, Copa America is the goal, and getting to a semifinal and showing that we can play against South America's elite. That's
for
the
BJ,
goal.
I think there was a nice little silver lining in Tyler Adams being injured because he was able to find so much success with Musa at the 6 and Weston and then Gio Reyna, because Tyler Adams comes into the equation and they're all healthy. What do you do? Like, my head is exploding trying to put them all on the pitch because Weah's got to be there. Weah's a lock, Pulisic is a lock, Balogun or Pepe's a lock up top. So out of the 4 players, you can only start 3. And that's the headache that Berhalter's going to have moving forward that BJ Callahan didn't have. Yunus Musa, not to take anything away from his performance because he delivered and he was so consistent and precise, didn't play with too much pressure on him. When the games are more demanding at a much higher level, including, like, let's just say World Cup opposition, he won't have that much freedom, and that's not his natural position. So
there was not one sign that he could not do that job. Not
But he
one.
was impressed. Don't you?
He
wasn't.
won
wa-
almost every single challenge.
Right.
Recovery, being able to pass out as well as dribble out of pressure. He had an A+ in the midfield.
How much pressure? A+.
And you said,
for sure.
said World Cup
Not to
opposition.
take-
Both those teams were in the World Cup.
Yeah, I'm
just
talking
saying.
about right. Okay,
Yes.
with
Well, I
all due
suppose
respect to
another-
Canada and Mexico, but the Netherlands of the world, the Germanys of the world.
Well, we're going to get
They're
a
the
chance to
next-
see that in the
they're the next
friendly.
measuring
The
stick,
midfield
aren't
quality
they?
is going to
Yeah.
step up.
We
in
see
this
that in the
competition.
friendly. They play Germany and they play Ghana. If Tyler Adams is healthy, Gio Reyna's healthy. Gio Reyna just has to stay healthy.